Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa is one of the most talented players right now, defeating almost everyone who comes in his way, even defeating Magnus Carlsen in some instances. With the peak rating of 2,707, this young genius has already stunned the chess world with his exceptional abilities. But regarding his extreme talent at destroying his opponents, Pragg was about to face the strongest opponent yet. This is Hikaru Nakamura, a 5-time US chess champion, and one of the fastest and deadliest players of all time. The age difference might be big, but hey, when it comes to chess, age is just a number, right? Pragg starts by moving his knight to f3, a move he has played countless times and is very familiar with. Hikaru responds with his pawn to c5. Upon developing their starting pieces, the game turns into the reti opening, a solid opening choice that usually yields a long strategic battle. Pragg thinks for some time, before playing bishop g2, getting ready to castle his king to safety. Hikaru pushes his pawn to d3, trying to create an imbalance in the position. It's like Hikaru whispers, "You think you're safe behind your castle walls, huh? But watch out, I've got a d4 pawn ready to charge." Pragg counters it with a great move, knight to c3. A few moves later, Pragg castles and Hikaru develops his bishop to f5. Pragg hops in with his knight to e5. To counter this strong knight, Hikaru offers a knight trade. Instead of capturing with his knight, Pragg continues with pawn to g4, attacking the bishop, which ends up in the trade of the knight and the bishop. Upon maneuvering their pieces, Hikaru switches to aggressive mode, which captures the vulnerable h2 pawn with his queen, giving a check to Pragg's king. Pragg simply slides his king to f1. Hikaru's eyes burned with determination as he pressed forward, his every move calculated for the offense. Hikaru slides his queen to g2, a queen sacrifice. The idea behind this move is that, after Pragg takes his queen, Hikaru just forks Pragg's king and the queen, eventually winning the queen back. Hikaru decides to trade his bishop for the knight, completely ruining the position of his opponent Pragg. Every time Pragg tried to make a move, Hikaru would leap forward, causing more chaos and confusion on the board. It was like trying to dance with the banana peel underfoot. Every step led to a slip-up. After a few moves, we see a pawn exchange on e6, and both players start maneuvering their rooks, claiming their dominance over the e-file. After making a few moves back and forth, Pragg decides to simplify the position by trading his rook on d6. Hikaru slides his rook to d3, attacking the pawn and eventually capturing it in the very next move. Pragg in turn attacks the a7 pawn. Instead of defending the pawn, Hikaru moves his knight back, allowing Pragg to take the a7 pawn with his rook. Hikaru counters this by capturing a pawn on c4 with his rook. The isolated b5 was vulnerable now, so Pragg defended it by sliding his pawn to a4. Hikaru attacks the bishop, forcing Pragg to retreat. Hikaru slides his pawn forward, and Pragg finds a brilliant move, bishop to f4, allowing him to capture the pawn on c7 with his bishop. After a couple of moves, Hikaru again attacks the bishop with his knight, and Pragg again retreats, after which Hikaru launches an attack with his rook. In the attacking stance, Hikaru's hands hovered like a coiled serpent, ready to strike at any moment. After a couple of moves, Hikaru captures the a4 pawn with his rook, giving away the b6 pawn. Now the position completely favors Hikaru, but Pragg displayed unwavering resolve, battling with every ounce of strength in him. With trembling hands, he slides his rook to g7, allowing him to capture a pawn on the next move. Both players start pushing their pawns, but after a couple of moves following this, they traded off their passed pawns too. The game is going to a dead draw. In a state of utter disbelief, Hikaru's eyes widened as he struggled to comprehend what just happened. A few minutes ago he was winning, his mind struggling to process the shocking revelation. The game progresses and Pragg attacks the knight with his bishop. Hikaru moves his knight to e6. Both players slide their king, bringing them into the game and adding an extra defender to their pieces. After a couple of moves, Pragg finds a way to get a draw out of this game. He slides his rook to c5, giving a check to the miserable king, forcing Hikaru to take it with his rook. After Hikaru follows, he captures the rook on c5 back with his bishop. Hikaru has no way, rather than capturing the bishop with his king, which leads to a forced draw by Pragg. Pragg managed to salvage a draw from what appeared to be a losing game of chess. Facing an opponent who gained a substantial advantage, Pragg refused to succumb to defeat.